go, but where you been? You say you'll stay, but then like you go again, looking for a home, still looking for a home, looking for a home.
Well, the bicycle is, well, I say it's perfect, like, perfect balance, perfect equation between amount of energy spent, amount of distance traveled. So this efficiency is quantified 4 times. Same amount of energy you spend walking, you can travel 4 times the distance. It is man and machine being one. First thing first, format. You had to think of what it was going to be the end result. It's going to be a folded map. So then only you know what the size is going to be, because there's the limitations of the medium. And I had to show all the key roads that enter the city as well. People coming from the south, where's the main road coming in? Old Klang Road. Coming from the east, Jalan Ampang. North, Jalan Pahang, Jalan Sentu, Jalan Ipoh. So you had to show at least to a certain exterior of the city. And then that would be able to connect the entire city by these roads. Then you start deciding about the scale. How much do you want to squeeze the city down? Is it going to be 1 to 10,000? Is it going to be 1 to 15,000, 120,000, 125,000, 130,000? So if you drive a car, you can cover about 300 kilometers a day. Cyclists, you can't cover 300 kilometers a day, it's just impossible. So for a city map, I calculated the range would be 10 to 15 kilometers per hour. The map was designed about 13 kilometers edge to edge. From the city edge to the city center, it should take you about half an hour to cycle. So that would be good enough for cyclists to get to work and get back. And I found that 1 to 15,000 to 1 to 20,000 is quite good, because certain icons won't be as big or that small. Road sizes can exist side by side. So at that scale, you can have more or less every single road. So I actually centered the map on the meeting of 2 rivers, Klang and Gombak, because it's a symbolic center of the city, which is Masjid Jami. Initially, I have extended the map twice. After I designed the first initial map, then I found like some key roads are not there. So I extended the map, maybe about 500 meters around. So when I first designed the map, it wasn't actually a map. It existed as numbers. Designed on screen, you see it as an RGB form, but you had to think of it from a CMYK process. So as a print designer, you had to think of how these colors will react. There is actually a map reading light that you can use with special color filters. I've put in a feature where you use the red light that you use on your bike, and only the blue or colors that derive from blue will show up. So actually the main road will only show up because it's the lit night blue. Now, sorry. Hi, Ma.
That who told me she saw you on TV.
Oh.
That must be Josephine's son. I said, what? Who is my son? Jeffrey Lim, isn't it? I said, yeah. He said, how do you know he's my son? Look like you lah. Yeah.
Wow, really?
So you look at one shot that they see is like mama face. And then she said, you look so handsome.
Oh.
I say lah, mama proud, yeah?
Okay.
What are you doing?
I'm actually in the middle of an interview, Ma.
Oh my God. Sorry.
It's okay, lah, Ma.
Mama love.
Okay, bye-bye. I didn't mean to It's my mom, man. I have to pick it up. Okay, so studying all the Malaysian road signs, I try to replicate what we use here to introduce this into the map. So it would seem like this map is actually designed for Malaysia, a Malaysian-made design. So the entire font family that I use is actually Berthold Accidents Grotesque. Being the precursor to more recent typefaces, you get to see some of the weaknesses of the typeface. But then you also see some of the characters before it became to machine. It's sort of like going back in time, or actually going back to origins. So now when you look at the end of the terminal is actually wider, also at an angle. And that's a calligraphic characteristics, and that's the humanist touch. Compare this to more modernist font. The end of the terminal are cut horizontally and it looks more linear. So it's much more machine, or it's much more symmetrical. Like Helvetica, for instance. And visually, if you look at where it's horizontal, it's actually thinner than where it's vertical. Because when we look at horizontal lines, they appear thicker than they are. That's just the way we see things. So you have to exaggerate some parts to make it look like the same width, but actually it's not. So the humanist form is actually creates thin and thick areas. Same as when a typeface is white on black, it has to be a bit thicker than when a typeface is on white. Because also print-wise, not only visual, the black ink will spread. That's why the white text will shrink. So you have to make it a bit thicker. So these are some of the subtlety of what typefaces are also as well. You have to look at the positive and negative shapes of it. And this typeface has a huge family. From light condensed to medium condensed, italic, bold condensed, extra bold condensed. So yeah, it has a huge family. And that's why I decided to use this. Really like it that it has all these weaknesses, because when it comes to work, I'm very robotic. There is process first and then humanist later, you know. I think it's a constant battle that is inside me. I have to find this balance, you know. I have to make myself a bit more humanistic. But design is an applied art, so there are guidelines, there are ways that you have to do things. It's process driven. But then rules are made to be broken, you know. So how and where do you break these rules? So 5 minutes before I sent this file off to print, I said I needed to put something extra on the map. Maybe something inspirational, something that was said in the project. So I started putting in all these hidden messages in the map. There were 16 of them. And 14 of them are at road name sizes. And then 2 of them are phrases, which are really so minute at a half dot size that you will need an optical device to see it. It's because as a designer, you have to analyze, you have to research. It's just part of the process. Of course, I do enjoy the process. That's, for me, is more important than actually the end result. When I did the map, at first it was just a physical thing. But then to truly understand how the city was built, I had to go back to the basics, going back to origins. So then you start to study about how the city formed. We started from the rivers, and then the ring road, all these key roads coming out, garden city planning, and so on and so forth. And that's when you learn about the older part of the city. In those days, roads were built for bicycles.
There were no traffic signals in those rollicking days.
Okay, I love history, man. I mean, that's just a reflection of our past selves, you know. But then it's so new. Every time you see history, it's something new, because that's always, history is not something from the past. History is just us rediscovering ourselves. In a way, it's the research into origins. It led me into thinking about family, society, race, culture, religion. So it boils down to the question again about understanding where I come from in order to know where I'm going to go. Of course, there's so much rubbish in the news. There's so much segregation. And that is, I think, the biggest problem of our country. We try to divide people rather than unite. I do have hope for the country, that's why I'm here. I do have ideals for the country. I do have faith. And that is something I believe in. There's no point being a cynic, no point being negative, because that leads nowhere. So you actually need to think positive, because that's the secret to change. We're here, I feel at home. I feel at home. That's the most important thing. I feel at home. So when I share this sense of belonging, I hope that other people will feel that too. So that for me is something I had to do something about. And it is about making a map about how you can connect the entire city just by cycling. And it can be that, but actually it's about connecting the city. And connecting the city is about connecting communities. And that is the bigger part of the project. It's still not over. I think what ended is my function as the map maker, because that's done. And this has led to a lot of collaboration, with NGOs and also with governmental agencies, especially with DBKL and stuff. Being part of the process in the planning of the city's cycling infrastructure. But that's just another story lah. This entire project wouldn't have been possible without the help of all the volunteers. I really love that spirit. Just show that there is a want. That there is hope. There's aspirations in it. There are so many cycling movements out there, and I'm really excited to be part of it. I think a lot of people moved away. A lot of people was disillusioned about what the city was like. Congestions and all these problems in the city. People felt very, very trapped. People are working out of state, out of country. When we showed how connected the city was, how beautiful the city was, and people really want to come back and find out more about the city. We went to parts of the city that I've never been to, they've never been to. Being part of the process to see how they discovered the city again, how we discovered the city again, and people fell in love again with the city. And I think that was one of the wonders of the project. That was really beautiful. Now, before the map, there was the bicycle. And that's how I actually first discovered the city. Just getting lost. You can be on a different world when you're on a bike, You have this sense of flight. And sometimes I just do that. Clear your head and let the road bring you the experience. I don't know why, but when you're on the bike, people are much more friendly. I think, first of all, I'm a pretty unusual guy to see on the bike. But in general, so many people actually come up to me and talk to me just because I was on the bike. So much more approachable on the bike. And you want to approach people on the bike as well because you're so close to people. There's no barrier, and you know, the bike allows you to reach people. The bike allows you to be human. I think I have to rephrase that. Bike allows you to be superhuman. Well, because yeah, you're traveling 4 times faster. So on the bike, yeah, you are superhuman. Are you still recording?